All right, kids, welcome to Worcester Council Committee Theater 3000, Thursday edition. You have me for right now. We're going to get Bill Shaner in here in a bit. He is currently hosting his first in-person pitch meeting down at Rewind Video. He's going to be joining us remotely from down there shortly. I did put together a bit of a rundown of what we have for school committee tonight on an agenda front. Looks like we are going to be starting off. Well, they're still in executive session, so I'm keeping an eye on that for when the meeting actually goes live. Mostly still seems to be that they're working through some of the issues around their nursing contract, which kudos to Worcester for having the nurses that we do. It's pretty awesome, the numbers that they've put up. Hopefully they, yeah, fuck Brian, am I right? So that nursing contract, that's a big one for them. They've actually been getting high marks for the number of nurses that they're bringing into the schools. Hopefully that works out. Student Advisory Committee. I actually kind of love those kids. They are working to improve communications between students and teachers. And they want to include a suggestion box and mandatory meetings. Struck me as odd that they already have mandatory meetings. They're called classes, and suggestion boxes are dumb. I would suggest that in the suggestion box that they just have more TikTok videos for school closings, and that's probably the most the students want to hear. We have a long list of congratulations. I'm not going to run down them all because I'll probably make fun of ones that are important and people in the chat hold dear, and I don't want to risk that. Let's see. The superintendent is going to give us a rundown on the family and community engagement framework implementation. Sorry about that. A little bit of a cold. Actually kind of interested to see how Rachel is going to handle that. We have a report on the establishment of a school safety advisory committee. Yeah, no idea where that's going to go. We are going to get updates on the Modern Classrooms project, the current after-school programs, what the city is currently doing in the schools for CPR training, an update on water filling stations. This is Worcester. Those are called bubblers. And an update on the Junior ROTC program. Committeewoman Biancaria wants to know what schools have locks, presumably so she can steal paper clips before the school safety committee is established. And Committeewoman Roy also wants to know what schools have locks, presumably so she knows which schools can be effectively cooed. And this one really stood out to me and kind of made me angry. It actually infuriated me. So we have an approval on the agenda to accept a donation from Selkirk Growth Program to the phys ed department for $259.96 for pickleball equipment. And I hope this committee shoots that down. I would love nothing more than to see a outright ban on pickleball here in the city of Worcester, but specifically our schools. We cannot allow our young, impressionable children to be exposed to the horrific crime that is pickleball and pretending that it's a sport. So yeah, yeah, come on. Of course I wrote those. I'm reading them right here. You wouldn't be reading something they didn't write in advance. But yeah, other than the pickleball thing, I think I noticed someone in the comments earlier said it looks like a boring agenda. I agree with you. It's going to be a boring agenda. NIMBY ball. Yes, we play NIMBY ball pretty much daily in the city of Worcester. You know, while we're waiting for the executive session to wrap up, one of the things that I noticed, and I think we can do this without any sort of violation for, I'm going to bring up this interview that
we have with us in our final segment, Dr. Rachel Menares, who is the superintendent of the Worcester Public Schools. Welcome, Superintendent.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, well, we know you're busy. Worcester Public Schools, one of the largest school systems in the state.
That got screwed up. I apologize for that. It is Timmy.
Team, the school committee, parents, stakeholders, educators, is your 5-year strategic plan, and maybe you could share with our viewers a little bit about that and how that impacts the.
Let me know how the volume sounds on this.
Nearly 25,000.
25,000 students. How many educators and paraprofessionals?
We're about just under 5,000 employees.
And then you
Yes.
magnify that to the families and et
Right.
cetera, a big part of the local population. So this
Mhm.
5-year strategic plan is important.
It's very important. So what we've dubbed it is our promise to our future, so that when I speak about it, I can say the Worcester Public Schools promise, and then people understand that this is something that we're going to keep working towards. As I've shared before, a promise is not something that you are perfect at, but it's something that you commit to each and every day to get better. And so the Worcester Public Schools promise will sunset in June of 2028. So just for context, current kindergarten students, that's when they'll be in 5th grade. They'll be finishing their 5th grade, and our current 7th graders will be walking that stage for their diplomas. So that gives an idea of what we're timeline. And then there are the themes or the priorities that came out of the strategic plan bubbled up from the entry plan that I did in the listening and learning tour. So we have 6 of them. They're around equitable programming, educational access, family and community engagement, modernizing our facilities. That was a big one. Climate and culture, how our schools and our district feel, and kind of how we treat each other, both parents, all the adults, all the students, and wellness. So making sure that children who need more than the base get that. And then the last one, goodness, I'm losing very important. Acquiring talent.
Right.
Yes, that's a really big one too. Working towards making sure that our students start to see people that look like them in our schools. So pipeline development, really encouraging people that live in the community, our families. We are a welcoming city. We have many new arrivals. We've got lots of opportunity in Worcester Public Schools. So we have priorities and we have aims, and then we have KPIs.
And you mentioned, the welcoming families. I mean, part of this is then communicating, with such a diverse group. I mean, how many languages in the Worcester Public Schools in terms of families? I think it's nearly 100.
Yes.
And this plan is going to have abilities for families and individuals to access this no matter what their language.
No matter what the language, most definitely. And first I'll say that I'm actually launching officially. Not officially, but I'm doing an inaugural, what I'm calling.
I just hung up a flag
Gathering for
of
Excellence
the newsletter logo.
on January
Pretty stoked
30th,
about that.
where I will roll out this plan, and then we'll have a panel.
We're still waiting
Hopefully
for
this,
the meeting to
We
get
will
started.
have
Oh, you're
that,
great.
of course,
We're just waiting for the
many
meeting to get
interpreters there.
started.
Every
So
time we
just
bring
playing
people
this interview that
together, it's
Rachel just
like
did this afternoon with the Chamber of
small,
okay.
mini
Cool.
world language thing
Yeah,
going on. But we've also, we're rolling out, and
Andy
we're about
is
11
doing
schools
some
in,
work
have
in the coffee
brought
shop, so
on a new
don't mind the
parent
industrial
app. It's
noise.
called Parent Square. And what Parent Square does is once you register for it,
Just had
you say
a
what language you want to receive information in. They will
Twitch,
receive everything we send
Commenters
out in
Union
that language,
member
and then
Air
they
Hadoken
contact. So it's two-way communication. They could
come
push
by.
questions out to us in
He's
their
hanging out here.
language of preference,
Nice to meet him.
and then we respond to it in English, and then they'll get it in their language. So it's a very nice
How was
tool
the
to
turnout for
really
this
help
event,
our
Bill?
diverse population really stay connected to our
It starts
schools,
at 6.
but also for us to
Oh,
stay
okay.
connected to them.
Yeah,
I
that's really
don't
important.
think I'm going to get a good turnout for
Facilities,
it.
some good news recently that Mass
I have had extreme posters fatigue
Burncoat in terms of the
and
process going
just
forward. You have Doherty High
cannot
School
bring myself to
to go forward,
promote
open up
things,
next year.
effectively.
And those are great news and things to celebrate.
But
you have a daily challenge.
I don't
of
really know what I'm doing with
facilities,
this
in some
anyway.
cases,
So
100
whoever
years
comes
old.
by, I'm basically just going to
Infrastructure needs, and
like,
so part of the plan
talk shop with
is
them,
to work
ask
with
them
the
what
city,
their ideas
state,
are,
and others
that
to
kind of
address
stuff.
those issues on a regular basis.
If I get a lot of
Absolutely.
people,
We do monthly
that's a
meetings
good
with the city
problem.
manager and his team and my facilities team. We
I
are
mean, there's a
looking
lot
at what I'm calling
lot to
kind of
talk
like a
about.
big picture
Yeah, that'd be
facilities
fun.
master plan for the
Can
city of
riff and
Worcester,
I'll
including the
extend that
schools in there.
to anybody
Because
who wants to
as
come over
economic
here
development happens,
in
then we
the
have new people
booth
moving in, and
and
that
hop on.
has this
That'd be fun.
ripple domino of
Mhm.
impact
Yeah,
on
you see
schools.
something on the
So we
live
need to
stream?
be aware of that so we can
As long as
plan
you
for
add a
that.
Nazi, right?
And then, of course, there's only so much money that can go around in the local level. So the city
Mayor Petty's
manager and I are
statement
very much on the same page
about
about
the
let's make sure we're
Nazi who
clear on
used
what our
my name
desired state is, where
was
we're going, what the
pretty funny.
asks will
I
be,
don't know
and
if
then what
anybody
are some
saw that.
barriers that we need to work
Somebody
through.
that he thought
We're
he knew.
very grateful that the city council has approved
Yeah,
a
like
stabilization fund to really
I
help
don't know.
offset the cost
That's
of
awesome. Like,
high
first of
schools
all,
and just any future
he does know
development
me,
of schools in
and
the
he knows what
future.
my voice sounds like.
But there's, to your
Like,
point,
everyone
about 50
there knows what
schools.
my
They
voice
are,
sounds like. Not
they
living
run
it.
the gamut. They're
And
beautiful
he let that guy
in the
cook for an
architecture, and then
awfully
they have
long
to be
time.
maintained.
Right. One of the things that
after
we've been
he
really appreciative
started
of,
bringing
and
up the
enjoy
Jews.
working
I
with
feel
your
like
team.
as
One of
soon
the
as somebody
areas of
says the
focus
Jews,
you've come in and
automatically
structured is career
next,
and
right?
college.
That is
The
supposed to be
single
your
biggest
cue.
issue that we hear from our
That's
25
Right.
members on a
Like
daily
he said the Jews, and then there was
access to talent,
another
how do we
minute
get
and a half.
workforce, making sure that
And
employees or
you
prospective
don't
employees
have to
can
wait
have
for
those
somebody to
skills,
say the
both
N
in
word.
terms of a tangible hard
Yeah.
skill, but also those kind of
I don't
soft
fault
skills,
Chopay
the
for not
ability
like
to communicate, work as
instantly
a
knowing
team.
what my voice
And
sounds
so
like, but
you've established this kind of career and college, recognizing that whether one
those
goes on to
Nazis
college
called in
or
2 weeks
not,
ago.
those skills are important.
Who in their right mind think that I would call
Even if
into
they
the
don't go
city
to college,
council to talk
how
about
do
the
we
slave trade?
start
Right?
getting young people in the
Well,
high school?
I mean,
or
that's
if not, really
the thing
think
too,
about
that
career
he,
paths that some cases
like the
will
folks in
involve
the
college
comments are
and others
saying that,
don't.
like, I totally understand there is
Absolutely.
a
You know,
free
we've
speech
tucked
argument
that
to be made
into
there.
our whole vision of a learner,
But as a
which is
nation,
what our
like
strategic
we
plan was
decided
built off of.
sometime
Vision
back
of a
in the late
learner is
30s, early
literally what are
40s
the
that
skills and
like
dispositions
free
that
speech like
we
ends
know children
when it
need
comes to Nazis.
to have
Like that
upon
was a
graduation
definitive moment
as
in
they
American
enter
history that like
college and career. And
we put a
honestly, you go
hard
to
no
college
when
for
it
a
came
career.
to
So the
Nazi.
career is always the end point.
I'm not sure. I
And
would actually
so
love to see
growing
what
our
would
Chapter
happen if
74 programs
a
is one
government
of
body
our pieces that are part of the
just said, yeah,
strategic
you know
plan.
what, we'll eat that lawsuit
Having
because we're more
additional
than happy to make that
pathways,
case in
making sure
court
that
that
people
we're not going to
have
listen to
access to
Nazis. Like,
know that these things
I
exist
don't
in
know
our
what's
Right.
schools.
what's so
And
confounding
then
about that. The
how
idea
do
that like you
we
have
as a
to
district
allow
backward map that so that it's we're not
concepts
waiting
of
until high
genocide
school for children
into
to
the
start
marketplace of ideas.
exploring
That's
opportunities out there. So
what's your
middle
idea of the
school and
marketplace of
elementary.
And so
ideas
for
is
our
a
viewers, the
Walmart on
Chapter
Black
74
Friday. You're
program
just a
would be
fucking
kind of
asshole.
vocational technical
Right.
programs. There's
And it's just like obviously
23, it was to
just
technical high
a
school.
troll for the
You've
amusement
made a
of a
priority
small
to
group of
continue
fucking
expand
losers.
some
Right.
of those
You know,
programs
it's
at the high
not a free
schools
speech argument
where students learn a
at all.
tangible
Well,
skill.
that's the
particularly
other
in
part of it that
workplace,
just
so
sucks
they
as
can
well too.
practice that
Is
and get paid for it.
you're just
And then
talking about
the
like
Career
full-time
Pathways
trolls,
program is
and
a
it doesn't
version
matter
of
if
that as
you
well. So
are
there's real
a government
skills,
entity or one of
career
us. Like
aspiration
they
about
kind
fields
of
that
tend to win,
they
like when
might be
you play
interested or
by
might
their
not have ever
rules,
known
which
about,
is
could be an opportunity.
giving them
Exactly.
bandwidth
And
to
they might
troll.
explore it and say, this isn't for me.
Right,
I want them
right.
to decide that when they're young,
Yeah,
rather than
and
when they're
already you see it
invested in
kind
debt
of
and all
working.
that
Mo
kind of thing
Bergman
later on. So
used
really
that
just giving
call as
those
an example of
opportunities to
why
children, but
there needs to be
also
more
as
cops
we
to
think
City
about the
Hall.
economic
Sure.
development and the
What the
prosperity of the
fuck?
entire city
It's
of
exactly what
Worcester,
they want.
what is it?
Like
Because we also
they
want our
consider it
children
a
to stay
win when
local,
people
right?
shut
And to be
down,
civically
when
engaged.
cities
And
shut down
so
public comment
what is
because
it
of what
the
they do.
community
Right.
needs, and how do
Yeah,
we
and it has no
really
impact
light
on their
that
ability
fire
to
in
be
our children
assholes.
to see themselves
Right. They
potential?
just move on to the next place.
Really
Yep.
It's
important.
all we can really hope to do is just make it
benefit
boring for them
generally a
to
young city, but if we
be
can
here.
retain those students,
I don't know if anybody saw it, but there was a GBH article
at the chamber where they
sort of about Worcester, but mostly about Framingham. I guess they
there's a
hit
whole range
Framingham
of jobs
recently.
at those places.
And
If
in
we can say,
Framingham, it was
we've got
12
a
minutes
full
of that.
workforce and
They
having
allowed that to
people
go on for
entering,
12 minutes.
with some of
Like,
those
God
basic
bless Nico.
skills, it's a
That
distinct
the way we're
advantage,
handling it
career
is
opportunities for those individuals and
freaking
families, but also for us and recruiting
good.
companies
I mean,
to
I
grow and
can't even
expand in this
imagine if we
Right,
let
it's a
that
win-win
shit go
for
on
everybody.
for 12
Right.
minutes.
So
what kind of
January
shit show that
30th,
would start
gathering
in
for
Worcester.
excellence, a panel discussion to kind of roll out this.
I
5-year
didn't read too
strategic
deep
plan. I
into it, but it
assume
might be
people can
interesting to watch that
access that
Framingham tape
virtually
just
or
to
come
see
in
like
attendance.
how
Either one.
what was
Yes,
the
we will have it live streaming
like
for
what
those who
how did they
want to
let
stay
them
home
just
and
continue to
be
do that?
comfy.
You
We
know,
will
it's
have it
like
in person for those who want to come in and really
yeah.
experience the
It
the
will be
space.
interesting
We're
to
gonna
see
have
how
lots
they
of
handle it
student
too. Because I mean, the only
performances
mention
because
that I
that's
saw
part
from
of
Joe
us.
was
Actually, that
requiring
is our
faces
excellence. It's our
for
children, right? The
remote
adults will make sure that that happens for them.
comments and whatnot. I don't. That
Rachel
seems to
Menares,
be
thank you so
eliminating
much.
phones
Superintendent of public
from
schools for being
public
with us. I look forward to having
participation.
you back at some point.
And
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I
And
don't
full
know why
phone numbers getting
think
posted, which
that
is just
sorry, let me just kill this here. I don't don't know why they think that faces would scare these folks away. They're not from here. It's not like you're shaming your neighbor.
Right, right. And they're just gonna get on with a freaking bandana covering their face anyway.
Right.
Which is another thing that you should immediately block someone for doing.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, there's no like, I don't know. These aren't like wealthy people that are gonna drag the city out in court for forever. Like, just just violate their free speech rights. I don't like it's
They're Nazis. It's okay. It's
Just-
the one
just-
time. It's okay.
just fucking do it, right?
Yeah. Bill, I kind of did a quick rundown of what the agenda looked like for tonight. Was there anything that stood out to you? Did you have a chance to look at it at all?
Not really, but actually, I don't know if anyone saw it, because we're trying to do a little bit of a different thing with Ashland's school committee previews.
Mhm.
We're not sending those out to the full list, but she wrote a preview for Worcester Sucks for this meeting. And it has its own vertical now on Worcester Sucks, but you kind of have to opt into receiving them. We're still kind of working the kinks out on that.
Mhm.
But Ashland's monthly WPS in brief posts will go out to the full audience. We just kind of felt like it might be spamming people to do these short ones. But I don't know. Maybe that's just reading into it a little bit too much, and we should just send them out to everybody. But yeah, really happy that Ashland is involved in the Worcester Sucks media empire. And from her preview, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that'll lead to any sort of fireworks, but I have a feeling that the school classroom locks discussion is gonna be a stupid one, especially some of the stuff you told me, Brendan, which I don't know if that's stuff you can share publicly, but an incident, you know.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it circulate publicly, so I don't want to.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
No,
but,
I
you
noticed
know,
that one as well too, and it's both by Biancaria and Kathy that have two separate items on locks within schools. So yeah, there has to be something going on there that's somewhat coordinated.
Right. Yeah. So I think that what we're seeing there is exactly what you've been talking about, Brendan, is that school safety and sort of fear mongering around school safety is probably going to be their primary cudgel to attack the superintendent, which unfortunately works, you know. That's like not a bad idea if that's what you're trying to do, because people get reactionary real quick when you start when you start going down that road. So that will be interesting to see. I don't see them pulling any sort of fast one on Rachel Monterez with that one. I mean, I am sure she's going to come correct with that. I mean, it seems like they already have like a pretty detailed plan for addressing the locks situation. But it's like, I don't, it's kind of like a silly issue anyway. I don't know what a door lock is going to do for you.
No,
And-
totally. I mean, there's actual safety concerns there when you start including locks, because it starts complicating things like evacuation protocols for fires or other emergencies and whatnot. I mean, that's, to your earlier point, that's the part that sucks for the superintendent, but I think she knows what she's doing and will be able to navigate it. Is if you're looking at the world through the lens of everything needs to be about safety and security, there's no question that schools are soft targets for for terrible things to happen. But they're soft targets by design because they're community hubs. And I feel like that's something that has been a problem to get through a lot of people in Worcester for a long time now, that they're not supposed to be hardened bunkers. They're supposed to be places that are open and welcoming to families, parents, community members, and whatnot. It's
right. And like, it's just like, you know, people have a certain set of values where they don't necessarily see how a non-secure appearing environment is better for children, right? I think that's not it's like that's not something that a lot of these reactionary people value very much, and they just are looking for any sort of cudgel they can, really. I mean, it all comes back to they just want police officers in school,
right,
because they care about the police officers more than schools. And they take that as an affront that there's no cops in the schools.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know that there are softer than shopping malls, but I also know that that's a difference between a public and a private sort of entity, right? Like, sure, shopping malls are all going out of business, but I always have liked the argument that people, I think, correctly make when it comes to schools is that, obviously security is a philosophy that's incorporated into any design elements for any public building, but schools are just like a city hall where they're unique in that the idea is to be welcoming into the community. You putting up barriers to entry is just weird when it comes to the very concept of public education.
Right. Yeah. It's always a tough conversation. But I honestly, with these people, not 1 inch. Like everything that they put forward, like you just have to take it as in bad faith off the bat.
Mhm.
That it's part of some sort of scheme tied to some sort of vendetta, right? The vendetta purposes versus non-vendetta purposes.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So I was catching up on the city council meeting, and I found two's order on the quality of life team and how that went down to be extremely interesting. When you think about how Batista just up and up said last week that he omitted all of the homelessness work from that report,
Mhm.
basically because it looks bad and he wants the quality of life team to look good. And then everyone who, every counselor who took it personally that someone who's unhoused would dare explain their experience with the quality of life team voted to file that report. So like literally they're just they all made themselves like complicit in obscuring information from the public. It's crazy. Like they don't want the sweeps to be public. They're actively trying to hide them,
Right.
which I think is like it's just insane that we're not talking about it that way. I don't know. I think I don't know why, but it seems like that should be a bigger deal than it is, that the city council just allowed the city manager to not talk about something the city does that's literally being heard by the Supreme Court right now, right? Like, how is that not a bigger deal? It's insane. Hey, how are you?
Has anyone can you recall, has anyone brought to the council just the idea of what a sweep, like, I know because you've been to them, but like, has anyone discussed with the council what a sweep actually looks like and what the results of a sweep are? Because I'm curious. It's one of those things that I'm curious if like everybody on the council, with the exception of two and Attell, are completely unaware of what a sweep of an encampment actually looks like and what the outcomes are, but still
Yeah,
has strong opinions on it.
honestly, those two unhoused people that talked at public comment last week are kind of like the closest actual description we've gotten to what that is, because you hear a very propagandized version when city officials speak about it. That they do this kind of like sleight of hand where they focus on offering services, and they don't really mention too much that the services are a carrot, a small carrot dangled in front of a very big stick. That
Mhm.
they only go out to these encampments with the purpose of clearing them, and if they can clear them faster by offering somebody a bed at Queen Street or MLK, then that's great. But it doesn't matter if they can't. It gets sweet. The sweep happens.
Right.
And I think that we saw like the just the gut reaction to hearing somebody's real life experience with the quality of life team.
Hmm.
It just made them all angry, and they took it personally because they don't really have an argument for why they should continue outside of the fact that they like that they can call the cops on homeless people. So they the only way that they could like sort of uh, process that was just like, that's disrespectful.
Right.
It's disrespectful. And like honestly, David Webb did not help things when he went up behind Dan Cahill and held up a picture of Dan Cahill, because like, you know, his comments were just the truth, and the other unhoused people uh, house people were also just telling the truth, and that was really what made people angry. But it makes the case that it's about decorum and civility and being respectful a lot easier when you do something goofy like that. That has bugged me, and I just want to say so out loud.
No, totally. And I mean, a couple of the people in the comments have mentioned that. I know, like, we've had plenty of, I mean, thankfully, we've had plenty of outside experts testify to various
Hold on, Brandon,
subcommittees.
1 second. Continue. There's someone in the store.
Oh, sure. Various subcommittees and the council as a whole to point out just like how inhumane and unhelpful the process of displacing encampments is. But I can't help but think it's similar to, like, it's like waterboarding, right? Like, I mean, until you've actually seen it and like realize how violent it is, like, there was a time in the country where just the words didn't mean enough to people who weren't exposed to the actual act, that you need to take it a step further and actually show them and have them understand what people are going. Then people realize, like, oh yes, this is completely inhumane and an abhorrent practice. I'm just not entirely convinced that the council as a whole has the understanding of what they're approving and in many cases encouraging to speak directly on it. Yeah, Camber. I mean, ultimately, I think that's probably like the biggest issue in the whole conversation is that we do give everyone the sort of benefit of the doubt that they're acting in good faith, and I think it's clear to anyone who's paying attention that the council is not necessarily full of good faith actors, and that doesn't necessarily even need to be intentional. I think there's a degree of ignorance that goes on there when it comes to people's experience. Yeah, I've heard similar about the RMV camp thing. But I mean, I want to be careful though, because I understand where they were coming from with the request, especially regarding the trans community. But it's also important to recognize that that's like a very unique example of where the city was doing something. It was in no way that the best that they can do, but they were doing something, and the something that they had at their disposal with limited bed space and whatnot, they were literally making phone calls to authorize more beds and more people to come inside. And yeah, it probably wasn't handled the best way overall, but not my protest, not my place to criticize, I guess. That's just as a outside observer. Wonder if Bill's getting robbed down there. That'd be kind of wild. That's it, Jack, right? I mean, again, it's not a fix to the larger problem, but they were faced with a real-time problem, and the real-time solution was, okay, everybody who's out here can come inside. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was really accomplished there, especially, unfortunately, as well, too, in the eyes of the local law enforcement and whatnot, who, right, wrong, or indifferent, like, they're given their marching orders as well, too. The latitude that they have to work within is pretty clearly defined on this one. I just don't see how it really helped overall. Yeah, systems are, again, remember, systems are generally shitty. And that's the thing, too. I mean, Bill and I've talked about this ad nauseum offline. We've talked about it enough here as well, too. I mean, this problem is wild, and I think that the biggest issue when it comes to figuring out solutions that are favorable to the unhoused population, a big part of the problem is our local officials tend to view everything through a local lens. And I'm just curious as to what their overall level of exposure and education would be if people realize that our population, our unhoused population, is relatively small compared to many other cities our size and larger. and there are practices that are being experimented with, both good and bad, across the country, that we don't even have the time to look at here, because we've got local officials who think they know exactly what to deal with and are only interested in dealing with what they see right in front of them, which is obviously short-sighted, because it's an issue, it's a problem that's only going to get worse for the unhoused community, with the overall lack of housing starts that we have. Which, I mean, it's going to take a very long time for the state to get to where it needs to be, from an overall housing perspective. Yeah, that's just it. And I don't know what the solution to that is when it comes to getting more exposure. But it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like, we have a congressman who regularly does the longest night thing, and I know a lot of that is performative to some degree. But then the city has no issues with running citizen police academies and whatnot for the general public, if they're curious to see how, like, law enforcement works or public safety in general works. They offer ride-alongs with all those departments. It seems like we have a framework that we could work within to actually give some exposure to especially elected officials, but even city hall employees in general. If we wanted to, that would give them a better exposure and better understanding of what lived experiences for people within the city are. But yeah, I don't think that there's actually a desire to go down that road with a lot of folks. It really is just a towny, I don't want to see it mentality, which is gross and sucks. Looks like we're still in executive session here for the committee, folks. I don't think anyone needs to be punished by sitting with you at your desk, Jack. Yeah, that is I mean, that happens everywhere. I think nobody, but it's on any level of government, but it's very pronounced in Worcester on a local level. The idea that the only people that that a lot of our electeds consider to be their constituents are the people who voted for them. God forbid you ever question somebody during the course of an election or whatnot. You're clearly not their constituent at that point. Also wildly true, Main South Mom. That's the refrain that I keep hearing from a lot of folks in public safety in the city and in the region, is that fentanyl is the cause of our unhoused population, which is so dismissive of the unprecedented numbers of families who are unhoused currently, and just the folks that are on the verge, right? That even people that coach surfing or whatever the case may be, instability is a goal, but it's just not a realistic goal because of the cost of housing and the lack of housing here in the city. Somebody asked earlier, I don't remember who it was, but no, I've got one kid and they are not in the Worcester Public Schools. They actually chose to go to private school, didn't push them there. Had a miserable time in public school through middle school, so I made the decision to let them pick where they wanted to go to high school, so I wouldn't be hearing about it when they're in therapy in their 30s. And they chose a private school that was way more expensive than I would have liked paying. But we did it, and now they're in college. Yeah, that's basically it, Yenny. Which is also kind of a wild thing to think about as well, too. I mean, that I know we all know this in the comments, but I bet you could go to any number of counselors and just ask them if they could, like, plainly, do you consider the unhoused in Worcester to be your constituents? And most of them would probably have to think about it for a second before they realize they can't say no. I did see there's a kava joint opening up. And if you had asked me if I thought that 2024 was going to be the year we would see Mike Germain, a former city councilor, as the silent partner in a kava joint opening up in Worcester, I would have lost that one. Yeah, I agree with that take on taxes as very much, with the obvious exception of religious institutions. But yeah, I mean, you see that on a regular basis in Worcester when it comes to conversations about pilot. We view anyone that is not paying taxes as being less than, which is just a complete bastardization of what the entire concept of being a stakeholder in a community is supposed to be about. Kind of gross, but yeah, that's who we are. I mean, it's why we're so deferential to the business community, right? It's we put a lot of stock into who we view to be the folks that are most responsible for financing the city. Oh, Bill's gone now. Maybe he is getting robbed. Yeah, well, I mean, Maine South Mom, I mean, that's the that's, I think, part of the problem too, is that, I mean, we've been discussing, I mean, it's been like a decade now that we've been discussing the housing first model, and it's not entirely clear, to me anyways. I know it comes up at least quarterly in the form of reports. Oh, here we are. Let's see if we can get this going here. I know we've been talking about for about a decade about the housing first model, and it's not entirely clear that we've made any progress at all.
And the bones bursting
Can someone just let me know how the volume is here, balance between Facebook and myself?
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner for the land of the free
Perfect. Let me know if anything needs to be changed.
and the home of the free.
Play ball.
Very nice job, Burncoat High School, and it's in Burncoat on there. Oh, from Doherty High School. So nice job, and
Good job,
much
Joe.
appreciated. Okay, we are going to do a roll call.
Yeah, Airhead
Member
Oaken, I think that
Alvarez.
was their weird mic setup, not
Member
ours, but let me know if
Biancaria?
it keeps cutting out like that.
Here. Member Benenda? Here. Member Guardiola?
Here.
Vice Chair Johnson?
Here.
Member Mailman?
Here.
Member McCullough? Here. Member Roy? Here. Mayor Petty?
Here, we are on M, Student Advisory Committee items. Consider a variety of strategies that will improve communication amongst the students and teachers, which can include a suggestion box and mandatory meetings that will provide a sense of comfort and understanding in a classroom setting. So, just introduce yourself and the school you're from. And
Thomas Sutton from Burncoat High. Through the chair, students really feel like establishing a relationship with their teachers is really important. And some students struggle with communicating with their teachers for a bunch of different reasons. We would like you to consider various strategies to improve the communications between students and their teachers so that we can become effective communicators. A couple of our ideas include suggestion boxes, meeting during class that is
Still
conducted
not
in a
sure.
manner that
Maine South Mom.
provides students an opportunity to share their ideas about the class. This could be like a circle practice or a Socratic seminar. and generic surveys at interims that all middle school and high school students take that provide the teachers direct feedback.
All set?
I really like that we've got Pete Cockyborough as the student representative this year.
Administration? That's a subcommittee. You want that in administration?
Through the chair, I recommend referring to administration, and then we'll work with the superintendent student advisory, and then we can bring something back.
Okay, perfect. All those in favor? Opposed, so ordered. We have the consent agenda. Take it down collectively on the roll call. Roll call.
Member Alvarez,
Yes.
Member Biancaria.
Yes.
Member Benenda,
Yes.
Member Guardiola,
Yes.
Member Johnson.
Yes.
Member Mailman,
Yes.
Member McCullough,
Yes.
Member Roy,
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. That brings us to public comment. Anyone want to speak on anything tonight? Seeing nobody.
Maybe phone calls, Joe?
That brings us to the report of the superintendent, family and community engagement framework implementation update. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, through the chair. So as the team comes up to do the presentation, I want to welcome Dr. Koo. We have our two directors of family and community engagement, Dr. Gonzalez, Casey Starr. And then we're going to hear from some voices from the field. We've got a parent, we've got one of our wraparound coordinators, and we've got a community member who we partner with. And the establishment of the Family and Community Engagement Office was an direct development out of the listening and learning tour that I took on last school year. And when I looked at really how do we ensure that there's a tight link between our community, our families, and our schools, and who takes the lead in that, there was a missing hole. And so we established this department. And then we were able to rework an existing position that vacated to actually have two individuals where we were very happy to put these two co-directors in place. They have hit the ground running. The department's only been up for 1 year. And they are now working directly with our wraparound coordinators at every school. So the school committee really has invested resources to support family and community engagement. We know in education, it is a partnership. We talk about it all the time. We talk about the engagement of our parents and the connection between our parents, caregivers, educators, and the children, and that all of those need to be in place. So very happy to have this office
know if we
now
can
in
handle another
existence in
budget
Worcester
fish.
Public Schools. And I'm grateful for the team who is leading that. The next slide makes a connection to how this links to where we're going as a district in Worcester Public Schools. Who's forwarding the slides? Oh, sorry, Casey, I apologize. So, and you'll see this over and over again, committee. Specifically, everything aligns. Now we have an approved strategic plan. So we have strategic plan to my goals for this school year that you will be evaluating me on at the end of the school year. And then that connects to our school growth plans. Where family and community engagement framework fits in is in the strategic plan. Last school year, we developed this framework, and this year is how we're starting to
Superintendent Monera's
implement it. And we're
is
really, I like to
incredibly
say, at
impressive.
the
Yeah.
probably the toddler stages. We're beyond infancy. But you'll hear tonight what we've been doing and the roadmap that we've had and where we plan on going. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Koo. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. We are excited to share with you and take you on a little road trip, as you can see in a moment, as to the work that we've done already and the work that we are very excited to continue to do. So our expected outcomes for today are very simple. It's to provide you an overview for current and desired states for our family and community engagement, and then an overview of the actual family and community engagement framework. And really, again, you'll hear from folks who are in the field to see what this actually looks like as we're starting this work.
Kathy Roy must get so weirded out when she hears Dr. Koo's name.
Thank you. Again, my name is Casey Starr. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight and have this opportunity to connect as well as in this new role. So as you could see, oh, thanks, Casey. As you could see, the principles listed above In many ways, the principles listed here are really values through which the Office of Family and Community Engagement undertakes this work. As we talk about fostering authentic partnerships, our office, we believe in authentic, collaborative, intentional partnerships between schools, families, and community partners that allows for regular communication, shared decision-making, and shared responsibility for student success. Promoting inclusivity and accessibility. Again, the Office of Family and Community Engagement is committed to inclusivity and accessibility in all of our work, ensuring our practices and approaches are inclusive and remove as many barriers as possible to participation for all families. Celebrating diversity and honoring families' knowledge. Again, an important value that drives our work is recognizing and honoring families' identities, experiences, and expertise. Our families have so much to offer, and ensuring that our approach values their experiences and identities is key, and that we've fostered an environment where differences are celebrated and embraced. Strengthen family and community engagement. Of course, our work is focused on strengthening
locking
and
all the
supporting
doors.
family and community engagement across the district. That's really what drives all of our work and is directly related to the bullet below around supporting scholar success. Studies continue to show when family engagement is directly tied to student success. When families are engaged as partners in their students' education, students do better.
Okay, so let's go on a little bit of a road trip. So when we talk about current
It's not a budget
state,
fish,
we
but
actually had a lot
it's
of
pretty damn good.
conversation. And we've done a lot of work in this past year, and it was really important to showcase that. So we thought we would all go on a road trip and kind of see how we got to this point. So last July through December, when the superintendent started, she embarked on a series of listening and learning tours. And the community was very, very clear in that we needed more supports around family and community engagement. So that was a theme that emerged from many, many of those listening and learning tours. So that's where we started. So then from there, I just want to draw attention to the fact that the bus is moving along with us. So from there, in December of that year, we looked at what the community said they needed. And again, this was a theme that emerged. So we developed a family and community engagement position. And due to resignations at the time and shifts in positions, we thought, what a great opportunity to expand a department that the community clearly said they really, really needed. So from there, we developed systems to begin interviewing and looking for candidates. So in February, we actually were very fortunate, again, due to shifts in personnel, we were able to effectively hire 2 family and community engagement directors to lead this work, which has been fantastic because the work is so broad. When people say family community engagement, it is just beyond engaging families. It's about really making sure that we see the community and families as equal partners in the work that we do for our scholars. So that's where the work started. We were able to find 2 phenomenal folks who are sitting here with me today. And as they started work in late February, early March, there you go, waiting for my bus to move.
That's
They
wildly
started
true.
hitting the ground running. They did a full assessment of all current existing systems that we had, but also taking a deep dive into best practices, benchmarking from around communities such as ours to see what's working, what does the research say, so that everything we do is grounded in research and not to do it just because we've been doing it. But immediately they started a new process for translation interpretation, looking at that. How do we really capitalize on systems that we had to support our families so they felt connected to the work that we were doing? From there, we started our first superintendent roundtable. It was established at that time. We've had 3 so far. The goal is to have one every quarter. And this is an opportunity where the superintendent gets to meet with the community and really talk about the issues that families and the community feel are important to them. So that was the first of the many that we were starting. And then in June of that year, as you recall, the school committee actually adopted the FACE framework, the Family and Community Engagement Framework that we will talk to you more about today. From there, we decided that it was really important to make sure that for this work to really hold and be sustainable, we needed to make sure that we had people dedicated to doing this work. So we made a commitment. And when I say we, I mean the school committee and all of us here made a commitment that we had to have wraparound support every single school site. So we did that. Last year, we added a total of 47, one at every single school, as well as a parent information center. That summer, and again, I'm just giving you a highlight on this road trip. As you know, with many road trips, there's a lot to see. So just giving you some highlights. In July and August of that year, we actually hired some culture brokers. We were able to keep 2 of the 4 that we had hired to work with our families. But I think if you ask Deborah and Casey, they were very, very proud of the Family Academy that happened that year, where we brought families together and really, really did some learning, right? Listening and learning on lots of different topics with families along with staff. So we had a very successful, and I want to say, did we say about 200? Around 200 families participated. So really great numbers. So school started in September. So in order for this work to be sustainable, we had to train the people at the school site. So that's when the professional development started for the wraparound coordinators right in September. As we continue this journey, in October of this past year, we continue to share the FACE framework with all of our school leaders. So we are working with the folks who are doing this work, who are leading this work, but we also want to make sure that all of our leaders understand the work and the work that's happening. So that happened this past year. It was shared with all the school leaders. There's conversations about what this looked like, asked for feedback, and so on and so forth. So it felt like a year ago, but this past November, we really looked at how do we streamline all of our student enrollment processes? How do we make sure that it's accessible to all of our families? So we revamped and streamlined our process this past November. And then, as you can see, we're now in February. We've done a lot of work, and that's sort of our current state. That's how we got to where we are now. So we've done a lot of benchmarking, we've done a lot of researching, we've done a lot of auditing, and just looking at what we have, what we need, and how do we talk about vision of a learner, we talk about future ready. We also want to be future ready with our families and really think about how best what we can do to best impact the partnership that we have with community and with our families. So with that, that is where our current state is. And now you're going to hear from Deborah and Casey about all of the work that we are in the middle of and we're continuing to do.
So again, can you hear me? Okay, now you can hear me. I'm Deborah Gonzalez, and I am very grateful for the opportunity to share with you the work that we have been doing and continue doing. And what a remarkable, productive year for us, the Family and Community Engagement Office. I feel we have had a great year. Today, we actually commemorate the first anniversary of the inception of this new office within the district. And as we reflect in our journey, we are committed to integrating systems. In case is going to start with the first one.
Thank you. And Dr. Koo had already previously mentioned it, but the first one we really want to highlight is the quarterly Superintendent Family and Community Engagement Roundtable. These really serve as a forum in which families and community partners can come together to provide feedback and input into district initiatives and priorities. Family representatives from each school across the district are invited along with community partners. And these are not designed to just be us reporting information to people. These are really designed to be more
Totally, Eddie.
engaging workshops,
It involves
with
colors. They're
discussions
not
and
gonna offend
collaborative
anyone in the school
exercise
contest.
designed for partnership.
Our next system is related to supporting the implementation of two-way communication systems. The Family and Community Engagement Office is backing the work of the Communications Department in implementing and delving into functionalities of Parent Square as a communication platform. We support our wraparound coordinators in cultivating channels for engaging with families, gathering their insights on their needs, and disseminating information about the school's resources and opportunities for children and families. Similarly, in collaboration with community partners and the families they support, we are establishing frameworks to facilitate reciprocal communication with our community partners and stakeholders. And as a best practice, as Dr. Koo was mentioning with regards to the Family Academy, this is based on a research model that has been very successful in the past in Worcester. And we're very excited of continuing this type of opportunity for our families. They can address any content area, but one that we aim to consistently organize annually is preparing families and instilling excitement for their children's new school year. For instance, like Dr. Koo mentioned, last August, we hosted a gathering at Woodland Academy for over 200 newly immigrated families who primarily spoke Haitian Creole, Portuguese, Dari Pashto, and Spanish. The event focused on familiarizing families with the importance of attendance, navigating the student handbook, assisting with homework, and other topics essential for navigating the Worcester public school systems, crucial to their children's academic and socio-emotional well-being. We remove barriers by providing food, childcare, and transportation, ensuring each family felt included. We celebrated diversity by offering cuisine from each represented country. Additionally, we distributed school supplies to their children and provided interpreting and cultural broker assistance to ensure equitable participation. We aim to establish this as a regular practice, empowering families with knowledge on any topic that promotes their scholar success.
I really wish we could get a camera on.
For systemic and
Kathy Roy,
consistent professional
Rory, right?
development for wraparound coordinators, we've implemented regular professional development opportunities for our wraparound coordinators, as well as a regular meeting schedule. So far, these have included presentations by community partners on resources for families, review of application processes for different benefits and resources, sessions around the family and community engagement framework, and opportunities to share expertise and learn from one another. We even recently just started weekly virtual office hours for reps to drop in as needed to ask questions, troubleshoot any challenges, or even celebrate successes. As Dr. Koo mentioned previously, we also undertook a review of existing enrollment processes last year, and this school year we began implementing new systems. Much of this has really been focused on increased efficiency for staff and improved experiences for families. You know, we talk often about being future ready, and we need to be future ready in our administrative offices as well. And for a lot of that, that's transitioning away from paper towards virtual and electronic versions. We've also added a wraparound coordinator to the parent information system, which has just been a game changer. It has been a remarkable system that's been able to be created in which we could provide immediate support to families that come in sometimes with great needs to the parent information center. And then that wraparound coordinator is doing what we call a soft handoff to the appropriate wraps at the schools the students are going to.
And as we exemplified for the summer offering of the Family Academies, we're prioritizing access for all families. In managing the Interpretation and Translations Department, our priority is facilitating communication in our 7 required languages and those spoken by new immigrant families enrolling in our district. Additionally, we coordinate childcare, provide meals, and arrange transportation for family engagement whenever possible to ensure inclusivity and accessibility. Ensuring access for all families extends to our efforts to promote equitable access to resources, services, and programs through community partners, regardless of their school. And our primary objective is to eliminate barriers that might hinder families' participation in our initiatives. Ultimately, we aim to foster an environment where each family feels welcomed, valued, and empowered to actively participate in their children's education and the broader school community. We also want to support robust community partnerships. Our Family and Community Engagement Office aims to forge strong community partnerships that prioritize clarity in agreements, equity in opportunities across all schools, and consistency through a systematic approach to engaging with community partners. We aim to create transparent and easily understandable partnerships with all stakeholders, guaranteeing that information and resources are readily available to everyone.
And lastly, on systems, we're really talking about the alignment of school and district-based family engagement efforts. You know, one of the first obvious things as soon as we came into our positions was that there's just like wonderful engagement already happening in pockets throughout the district, at schools and our district offices, but really needed an opportunity to connect to a larger structure to be able to connect together. And so we're working to create systems that develop stronger connections between the engagement efforts happening at our school and the work at the district level, and really creating structures that encourage deliberate coordination and collaboration between the two. Thanks, Casey. Awesome. We're now going to move on to the Family and Community Engagement Framework, which was recently adopted by the district at the end of last school year. The Family and Community Engagement Framework is a crucial component to the district's strategic plan and provides a blueprint of our priorities of work as well as our desired states of engagement. As you can see on the left of the infographic, our framework is rooted in the belief that families, schools, and community are stakeholders in student success and requires an intentional and collaborative partnership. The three categories written in purple inside the half circle are priority areas through which we focus our work. Improving communication is a key strategy for engagement, as highlighted both in our framework as well as a goal in the district's strategic plan. Strong communication practices are a critical component to successful family and community engagement initiatives and demonstrates to families and community partners that the district values their involvement and we're committed to working collaboratively. Building capacity. When we talk about building capacity, we're really talking about parallel efforts to build capacity of both our families and our schools to partner together to support student success. This idea was really coined by Dr. Karen Mapp, and it's considered, I would argue, not just a best practice, but really a necessity in order to make impactful change. And lastly, on strengthening relationships, you know, in order to collaborate as partners in our work, there needs to be intentional efforts focusing on strengthening relationships and building authentic trust-based relationships between schools, families, and community partners.
And at the right-hand side of the infographic, it illustrates the types of initiatives categorized within the buckets of work aiming to achieve the outcomes outlined in the PHASE framework. They include initiatives to ensure we have empowered caregivers, because parents are their children's primary and most
Not really with
effective
us. We're just going
champions.
over a
They should be able to actively collaborate
update
and
from the
participate
Family
in
and
their
Community
children's
Engagement
education
team.
decision-making. When empowered as equal partners, parents are better equipped to support their children's academic aspirations and overall welfare fully. These initiatives align swiftly with Aim 2 of Worcester Public Schools' new strategic plan, which emphasizes cultivating an inclusive culture to empower caregivers. Then we have, as another bucket of work, initiatives to ensure we provide our families and communities with welcoming environments. Educational institutions should establish atmospheres that embrace and include all families. This entails a physical setting, interactions with staff, and the supportive systems in operation. When families experience a sense of belonging and investment in their children's school, it yields benefits for families, students, and community. These initiatives also align with Aim 1, Goal 1 in our strategic plan as they prioritize ensuring that all families feel welcome, included, and have a strong sense of belonging. Finally, we have the bucket of work that includes initiatives to intentionally ensure our community, families, and schools work in unison to build strong partnerships. Effective collaboration among Worcester Public Schools, families, and community partners play a crucial role in enhancing academic achievements and linking families to resources and assistance. Through purposeful and cooperative partnerships, every child can access a well-rounded educational journey tailored to their requirements and ambitions. These initiatives are synchronized with our strategic plan Aim 3, which involves leveraging community partnerships to provide equitable access to community resources, services, and programs.
Now we just wanted to take an opportunity to welcome some voices from the field. Oh, Sandra, you're still here. Come on, Sandra, you go up first. Thank you. You just introduce yourself briefly, please.
Hello. Can you hear me? No? Hello? Okay. I totally forgot my glasses, so. Okay. If anyone has a +1, that's all. Do you have a +1? Is it plus? Yes, cheaters, yes.
How are these meetings so much more wholesome than the city council?
Oh, thank you. Hi. Okay, my name is Sandra Losco, and I'm a resident of Worcester. And I have two children at the Chandler Magnet La Familia School. And I'm here to give my humble opinion regarding the effectiveness of the Family and Community Engagement Office. I'm really thankful for this office. Just like the name says, its main function is to engage parents and the community in our children's education. Parents are a powerful voice in the life of our children, and having an office that we can count on is essential. They have made it a priority to hear and allow parents' opinions to be part of the decision-making. I will give you some examples of how I personally have seen and have actually been involved with. So I was given the opportunity to be one of my children's representative from my children's school, to be a voice in the family roundtable that they were talking about earlier. So here, parents actually get a sneak peek about policies and updates that will soon be reached to the whole community. The superintendent's office works well with parents to hear our opinions, and I honestly feel like our voices are heard and valued. It's also a chance to network with other parents, with other wraparound coordinators and folks from the superintendent's office also. They make it casual, they make it easy to speak up. I do feel like the office is truly engaging the families, and it's truly a bridge to break down any misconceptions of families not being able to work with top administrators. At all of their events that they have sponsored, I have felt like I have been a valued community member and a parent. All of the members have translation services, yummy ethnic food, and childcare so that it is more welcoming to come and we have no excuse to not come. It also makes it easy for us to be involved. And a few things that I have seen so far have been basically what they have already stated, new wraparound coordinators, asking us parents to put our input in homework policy or something most recent, which was the cell phone policy. Also, what was our opinion about the vision of a learner? And most recently, parents being at the Gathering for Excellence panel, which involved many stakeholders, but parents were there as well. So I appreciated that very much. And ultimately, I feel like this office has really created a nice relationship with parents and the superintendent's office that can sometimes feel so overreached and intimidating. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice job, thank you.
Jocelyn?
Hello, good evening. My name is Jocelyn Suero, and I am parent of two children attending Worcester Public Schools. As a parent, the education of my children is the most important thing. And I always strive to participate in school activities. I have been actively volunteering at school, trying to stay involved in my children's education. In the past year, I have had the opportunity to participate in meetings with the superintendent, which has been a great relief to me. Through this meeting, I have felt my voice heard, and I have been able to provide my perspective. I strongly believe that this meeting is crucial as they help to strengthen the relationship between family and school. Through the family community engagement meetings, I have received a powerful message that schools are committed to to providing a quality education and recognize that this is a journey we must embark on together as a community of family and a school staff. And now I'm definitely ready to get involved other families and other moms. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will.
Good evening. My name is Erin Durr. I am the principal of City View School. And from the very beginning of the school year, my team, including wraparound coordinator, school adjustment counselors, administration, and our Q team members, have been working in a coordinated effort with the Office of Family and Community Engagement. We had a new group of students arrive at the very beginning, 2 days before school started, of school. This group consists of Haitian families living in the hotel just down the hill from City View. Their needs and situation are quite unique, and we had a team assembled to help us understand the needs and to create a plan to support the students. The Office of Family and Community Engagement created connections between our school and quadrant-based team and community agencies involved with our students, as well as supported us in working with the families at the school level. We were able to understand the community services involved, the context of the group's arrival and their needs, while developing a school-based plan to engage families at City View. Support from the Office of Family and Community Engagement has enabled our City View team to form relationships with the families and engage them at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Belisea. I'm a parent of 3 Worcester Public School students, and I've been a wraparound coordinator with the district for the past 9 years. I was at Woodland Academy for 8 years, and just this year, I'm now at the Parent Information Center. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to share a little bit about wraparound coordinators and how we fit into the Office of Family and Community Engagement. Wraparound coordinators were first introduced into the district in 2011. So this was long before this new office. And the role was designed to address students' non-academic barriers to learning by building support systems, high-quality partnerships, and helping schools develop trusting relationships with families. One aspect of our work is to help families access community support services. These services include access to things like shelter, food, clothing, financial assistance, medical care, immigration and legal services, English classes, childcare, after-school programs, and the list goes on. We also conduct home
Zane,
visits,
this is the Worcester,
support attendance
Massachusetts School
efforts,
Committee
do
meeting.
student check-ins, we run groups, coordinate events and fundraisers, and provide many hours of building-based support in our school buildings. In schools where families and staff often feel disconnected from each other because of immense cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic differences, we work to foster family and community engagement. Meaningful partnerships between families, school staff, and community partners help children flourish academically and beyond. For the first decade of the role in the district, there were, on any given year, from 7 to 10 schools with wraparound coordinators. In the 2022 to 23 school year, we added an additional 15 wraps. And this year we have a wraparound coordinator at nearly every school across the district. There's just one site that's missing one. 2 years ago, I represented the 10 existing wraps at the time at a school committee budget meeting when Worcester Public Schools first proposed adding an additional 15 wrap positions across the district. While we applauded the intention to add more of this critical
that's
support to our
a huge
schools and
truth.
felt
Make tough one.
recognized for the important work that we were doing, we urged the
I
committee
guess,
at
Zane,
the
the
time
bigger
to
question is, why are you
prioritize
watching this?
to prioritize investing in district level leadership to coordinate our work. At the time, we each reported to our individual principals and didn't have coordinated leadership, and our work was really somewhat disjointed. We argued that our work would be exponentially more impactful with leadership to provide targeted professional development and support, onboarding of new staff, evidence-based frameworks to guide our work, and a standard data collection tool to measure what we do. Although that investment didn't come right away, the eventual development of the Office of Family and Community Engagement under the direction and leadership of Casey Starr and Dr. Deborah Gonzalez has been more than I could have asked for or imagined at the time. RAPs across the district are now in constant collaboration, supporting one another, and we feel supported by our leaders. In less than 1 year, Casey and Deborah have already made impressive progress in providing professional development and systematizing the work that we do. From coordinating large, impactful forums like the community roundtable discussions to checking in, just personal phone calls to offer support on really difficult cases, the work coming out of the Family and Community Engagement Office is making an enormous difference in our city. I think of wraparound coordinators as the arms and legs of the Office of Family and Community Engagement. Now that we finally have a head and a body with a reach in every school, we're finally becoming more than the sum of our parts. I'm incredibly grateful to be a part of this, to be a small part of the important work that this office does in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, we just pick random school committee meetings to watch.
Hi, my name's Ann Bureau. I'm a director of Worcester Community Connections Coalition at Seven Hills Foundation, U Inc. I've been a social worker for over 30 years, 25 years in Worcester, and I'll just start by saying my vantage point will be as a social worker. It's great to see you. The deficit of resources right now in the city of Worcester, we have never seen. I've never seen in my 30 years. And so that's going to be kind of framing my discussion tonight. When we look at different systems that exist, we often use the analogy of a three-step stool, a three-leg stool. And family and community engagement for me is definitely one of those stools. You cannot, whenever you're going to look at a school, you have to look at the environments that the kids are coming in from, and therefore their frame of their minds as they come in. And with the hardships that our families are facing in Worcester across the gamut, because the housing prices have skyrocketed, we so need the support of these wraparound coordinators in all the schools. The adjustment counselors have done a wonderful job, but they're not enough. And we all knew it wasn't enough, particularly right now with the rising stresses that are on the different on our families. As I said, we're facing more of a resource crisis than I've ever seen in my 30 years of social work. And so additional support's needed. Many families are facing unbearable housing cost burdens, increased costs of food, challenges in obtaining, and stigma related to mental health, and so many other deficits in their lives. The breakdown of the family shelter system has been huge in the city. We no longer are guaranteed shelter for the city of Worcester. And in the Family Resource Center, our sister program, we are having high risk families not being able to access shelter and with nowhere to go. We have many more migrant families in the community that we're dealing with that we've discussed. More children reporting special needs, more food insecurity, and there's so many more layers to this, which is why this office is invaluable. It is crucial having additional staff there to support and really get to know the families and build that trust and help them to connect to the different resources. And also to head off crises before they happen, because the prevention is key. Once a family gets an eviction notice, so many of their choices go out the window. And not that the wraparound coordinators could do it all, but just providing the support, helping families navigate systems, helping them to know what their plan of action is, and just supporting them is huge. And they're also key to parent involvement, which we know is critical to children's education. We all know that. This cannot be fostered only by sending flyers home or by Connect Ed, but by relationship building. And we know for so many of our families who have been involved with so many systems and immigrant families, they are so scared of professionals. And so that relationship building takes a while. It's interesting. So we brought a bunch of parents to meet with Dr. Monrez when she first came into town. And we talked to our parents. We do a lot of parent leadership development, and we asked them, what are your top priorities? And so much of it I dealt with the task of this office, the social emotional needs of the families. It included communication with the schools, bullying. So many families of color felt that there was racism in the school that their children were being directly exposed to, access to after-school programs. Those were the main items. It wasn't so much the children's education, even though that was paramount, but all those items were getting in the way of their children's educational attainment. So I wanted to share my own experience with the wraparound coordinators. It's tremendous that they help us with situations, that they're there. It's tremendous that they're in all the schools, and they help nip situations that would previously, and no fault of any staff, but could go on much longer and be torturous to the families, and also just be such a burden to the schools because one adjustment counselor just could not do it. We had one family at a local school whose child has high need autism, and there was some bullying involved and some physical disability, and it was going on and on. The parent was really, really struggling. And despite the best efforts of the school, we brought it to Deborah and Casey. And then within a matter of a week, boom, boom, it was addressed. And the parent is now very happy that this particular parent did need, the child did need another school setting. There was a headlight situation when we recently worked with City View School on, and then we worked with the wraparound coordinator on, and the Family Resource Center was very lucky to have that connection. Another parent was dealing with another bullying situation, and the office again stepped in right away. And it goes on and on. Input, I want to give you input from the parents. I asked them for input tonight. Greater attention to bullying. The schools are now, all the schools are putting out a survey to parents about what is impacting school environment. More forums to talk about autism, which is huge for the parents. And this parent said, there's one forum after another on autism and how you navigate the special education department. Parents are involved. The round tables, parents being called in to participate in interviews of staff with tremendous sense. The parents are so, we're hearing from parents who are just so pleased and feel so much more engaged. And then I also want to give a kudos. One of the biggest challenges for Worcester parents in our surveys after school care. And so Worcester Public Schools through this department is engaging with providers to look at more ways to boost after school care, particularly for working parents. And then as former co-chair of the Haitian Task Force with Maide Morales, the efforts with the immigrants that came in was fast, it was comprehensive, and it was so caring of meeting directly with those parents and trying to meet their linguistic and also just give them a welcoming environment. This is a wonderful investment. This is one of the legs of the stool. Thank you.
Thank you. We all set?
So this leads us to, I'm sorry, I am just overwhelmed with so much wonderful comments. But this brings us to the desired state, right? Where do we want to be? Where
Yeah,
we
there's
wanna
definitely
go?
a very
And the
important
desired
subject there.
state is simple. We have
people
effective
who know the history,
systems
Annie.
that support all families and community stakeholders to engage as partners in our scholars' education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member McCullough? I'm sorry.
If I could just, I'd like to close it. Thank you. So first I want to thank the team. I want to thank the voices from the field for coming and really sharing your truth. And when I listen, like Dr. Gonzalez, it's very heartwarming to hear such positive and trend across each stakeholder that spoke. And so I want to just remind the committee that the family and community engagement framework, this implementation, it's quickly becoming, and this office is quickly becoming the model of the three mindsets that we've been working on in Worcester Public Schools. That idea of authentic engagement. How do you engage people authentically so they feel like their voices are heard? How do you create a sense of belonging? And then how do you build and honor people's knowledge? Thanks, Mom, for sharing that. Not only have you learned, but now you're ready to take it to others, right? This is what we're looking for, and the practices that we want to see in all of our schools for every person that is in Worcester Public Schools, caregivers, children, our staff. And so a great example of
thinking of
where we're going
retirement.
as a district. With that, I turn it back to you, Mayor Petty.
Thank you. Job well done. Nice job.
Who thinks we can run Dr. Moneris for mayor?
And we'll let Ms. McCullough go
Not at
first.
all to detract from the
Thank you so
leadership
much,
shown
and
by
thank you for the
everyone that actually
presentation.
presented, but
First of all, I want to thank
clearly doing a
Ms.
hell of a job
Starr and
organizing
Dr.
people within the
Gonzalez
district.
for being so present, because I feel like every event that I'm at for the community, you're there, one of you, both of you, and are always engaging with stakeholders. So I really think it's not just the words that you're speaking tonight, but it's the actions that you're showing in the community. So thank you, and thank you for the presentation. I'll try to be brief on this. I have been a fan of, excuse me, the wraparound coordinator position since its inception, and then the continual growth with that position. And I'm so happy that we have them in the schools. And I know that I've spoken with the superintendent and other people in administration, making sure that we continue to support those roles and making sure kind of everyone's on the same page and what the opportunities are and the services provided. Because I know as we're still growing in that area, right, there's still some development going on there. So I'm excited to see where that continues to go. And this is certainly something that has just been talked about for so long, is the additional family and community engagement piece. And not only is it happening, and certainly it has been happening in different ways for a long time, but now it's in a much more cohesive fashion with this department. And I think what I love when I look at this slide is empowered caregivers, right? I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, what we need on the school end from our families is support, but we need to give them support to get that support back. So I think saying that our goal is empowered caregivers and how we engage with the community is just, it's huge. And, you know, I don't want to belabor, I grew up the child of an educator in the Worcester Public Schools. And I remember my mother would continually say one of the most positive things in her building were the parent liaisons. And now we don't have that particular role, but it seems like the wraparound coordinator has encompassed a lot of what that showed as a benefit for so many years, but in a more robust way. And the other thing I love is that we now have a rap at PIC. I sat with a staff member at PIC one day during kind of a relationship contractual conversation we were having with EAW. They had asked school committee members to go out and spend the day with different EAW members. And mine happened to be an employee at PIC. And one of the things that she had kept saying was, it would be so great if we could get a wraparound here to get things started from the ground up before the students are even out in the schools, and how we connect people with services that way. So to really see that come to fruition is wonderful. In so many of the different guidebooks and things that we're hearing, I will just ask one question through the chair to whomever would want to answer this. With the enrollment procedures and guidebooks, I know one of the things we had talked about was that becoming accessible on our website. Is that something we will continue to see as we grow the website?
Absolutely. Through the chair. Absolutely.
Okay, because I know that's been a big thing from hearing from community members, because, you know, everyone's quick to go online first, right? And then when they can't find it there, it becomes kind of that panic. And I think having that information at people's fingertips even more accessible will be really wonderful. So I thank all of you. I look forward to continued work that we see from this department. And I know it ties in with our strategic plan and the superintendent's goals. And just want to continue to see how we can support the wraparound
Totally,
coordinators
that
and
main
the
South Mom.
department.
It's
Thank you.
the years of
Anything else?
negativity are
Member
just going
Newman?
to be, it's just feeding themselves. It's nice to see that.
That was
come to an end.
awesome. And I missed a couple of people speaking, but that was really impactful tonight. So thank you to all of you. I've heard a ton about these roundtables and
No doubt.
people just love them. And you two are absolutely, I hear your names probably weekly, maybe not, if more than that. And that's, I think, what we were after with this project. I guess I have two questions. One of them is on the family academy. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that actually means to families, or to what we're providing for families? And then the second question I have is to both of you, what are we missing? Like, what's our next thing? What are we missing? And I know everybody is going to start this year by saying we can't lose what we have. Mr. Allen, we get that, but we're gonna have to fight big time hard to be able to maintain. So what are we missing? But life is gonna go on, so we can't not think about the future after that. So two questions, the family academy, and then, so to either of you or both of you, whoever.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the Family Academy. I had a history with Family Academy since I worked for many years ago, Latino Education Institute, and I know that because it's research-based, and I know it because it worked for Worcester, which is very important. Sometimes we read theory and we just, want to explore with theory, but when you see the theory in practice and it actually bears the results that you really want to see, that's something that you want to replicate. I want to do again, why reinvent the wheel? So basically, the motto for Family Academies is to provide an opportunity for families to learn about different topics that relate to navigating systems. In this case would be Worcester Public School systems. And so in doing that, eliminating all barriers that have to do with them not being able to participate. So if we have to do it in a Saturday, if we have to partner with community organizations to provide certain things, if we have to provide brokers, cultural brokers that people feel comfortable with, and they will recruit them to come to the events, that hand holding sometimes is very important, right? So basically, it's a way to make sure that people learn, families learn, become empowered, and they do that by eliminating all the barriers for them to participate, and also to bring experts to teach them and get them to be empowered.
And through the chair to try to attempt the second question. I mean, that's a hard question, right? I would say generally, we need a little bit more time. I think we need more time to integrate our systems and to really take a step back.
I think we
and
should
be
just
able to
give the
do a
city
more
over to the school
in-depth
department.
kind of system approach to ensure that everything is really embedded together. We've done a lot, but we got big plans, and we just need a little bit more time, I think, to really focus on embedding these systems in the existing infrastructure, which is a pretty large system. The Worcester Public Schools is not responsible for housing families. That being said, what was spoken about today from community partners and RAPs is so real. And the housing crisis that we are seeing in our city I've been in housing for the past 15 years previous to this job, and we've just never seen the type of crisis that we're having now, because we used to have families in crisis,
Congratulations,
and we
Rose.
used to be able to connect them to a system that could support them while they figured out their next steps. And right now, we can no longer, to have EA say no more, to say we're completely at capacity, is really trickling down to our schools and our families and our RAPs in a really intensive way. And so I don't know what the answer is here, but that is something that we are really we have to revamp the way in which we provide housing support to our families through our RAPs. And that's not an easy answer. And so that is a real crisis that we're in right now that's really coming down and affecting us. And I don't know what the answer is. And I know it's not about providing it. Our school system is not here to necessarily provide housing, but we now have to look at a new system to provide housing support to families, because the system that we've had previously no longer exists. And we're not sure when that timing is going to change.
Thank you both.
Member Johnson?
Thank you to the chair. I thank you guys for the presentation, and to all the speakers, and good seeing you again. I just want to make a comment that it's good to see kind of where we are now and kind of the work that's being done. But I just want to remind people that this started back when we needed to hire the superintendent. And one of the things we had talked about was family engagement and making sure we got someone that was going to get out into the community and engage families. And then that translated over to our budgeting and adding our RAP coordinators and doing that work. And Dr. Superintendent Monterez having that vision to kind of put this into action. But, this started a long time ago when we started that process, and to now get to this point to where we are, I mean, it's good to see. I'm happy to see it, and looking forward to the work moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, great job tonight. Looking forward. This is a priority of the school committee and superintendent. So thank you. You make a difference. So good job. Okay. The next up is.
It
the
really
street
is, because
standing
the note
committees.
of
Before
when
that,
the
Lisa
wraparound services
from,
started
was it North
was
High
also
School
under Melinda Boone.
or- No.
So I mean, it's really just a conversation bookending Maureen's time as superintendent.
A student representative? Do you want to introduce yourself? And we missed you earlier, so sorry. I know I ran into you this week somewhere and I can't remember.
Sorry, my name is Ariana from South High.
South High, okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. McCullough.
Thank you. The Standing Committee on Finance, Operations, and Governance met on February 5th at 4:45 PM. Present were Member Johnson, Member Roy, myself, Deputy Superintendent Allen, Director of Facilities Rich Eichenen, and Assistant Director of Facilities Ryan Hacker, along with Budget Director Sarah Consalvo. The first item we took up at the meeting was GB 2-92.12, requested the administration provide quarterly updates regarding building maintenance to include timeframes on when work will begin and be concluded. And there was a Q2 facilities update, as well as the view of a sample of the developing or the Worcester Public Schools capital projects dashboard that is in development. Mr. Allen introduced Mr. Eichenen, who gave a summary of facility updates that included custodial services, maintenance and trade, environmental services, summer 2023 and ongoing maintenance projects, as well as capital projects, and just high level, some of those ongoing maintenance projects surrounded painting, playground repairs, relocation of schools, hanging championship banners, and repairing a subterranean valve at Sullivan Middle School. Some of the capital projects included Elm Park gym renovations, bleacher and floor replacement at Burnco High, ADA compliant ramps, as well as window replacement projects, site improvement projects, and district-wide HVAC projects, and of course, our new building of Doherty High School, which is on track for the August 2024 opening. There was also discussion around some of the work that's being done as far as a project tracking dashboard that Mr. Hacker presented on. And it's really going to be something that will be very nice for people to go on, ideally, eventually go on the website. They'll be able to click on the project tracking dashboard. It will contain the status, the budget, the timeline, as well as milestones for significant capital projects, which Mr. Hacker created in conjunction with Ms. Consalvo and the budget team. We also had a conversation around the importance of the Environmental Health and Safety Department, and we know we are trying to currently hire for that position, but there is the assistant director who is currently fulfilling the workload of that department. I made a motion to accept and hold this quarterly report, and on a roll call of 3-0, the motion passes. The next item was GB 3-195.2 to review the status of the FY24 budget and make appropriate transfers as required. Mr. Allen noted that there is currently a $350,000 deficit, and the finance team is looking into ways to mitigate the deficit and find areas of potential savings. Ms. Consalvo reported on accounts with budget impacts. The accounts with projected negative balances include health insurance, out-of-district tuitions for special education students, transportation, building utilities, supplemental program salaries, and school nurse salaries. The accounts with projected balances to offset these deficits include teacher salaries, teacher substitute salaries, maintenance salary accounts, school clerical salaries, and unemployment compensation. Mr. Allen discussed that the number of students requiring out-of-district special education placement, along with the cost of the student transportation to those placements, is where we saw the biggest increase. He also noted that the Worcester Public Schools is in the process of purchasing an additional 39 vans for special
They
ed
typically just
transportation,
approve
and
the
by
minutes,
using our own
which I thought
vans,
they did at
this will
school committee too. I'm
significantly
not sure
reduce
why
the
they're
cost
going
of
over
our
them all
contracting
line by line
transportation
here.
and make a dent in cost overruns. Member Johnson clarified that the new vans Mr. Allen mentioned will help reduce those out-of-district costs, and he confirmed that although 39 vans will not cover 100% of the needs, it will make a significant reduction in the need for those contracted services. I made a motion to make a transfer of $300,000 from the teacher substitute salaries, transportation OT to transportation OT on a roll call. On a vote of 3-0, the motion passes. I made a motion to approve and hold the quarterly facilities report, and on a roll call of 3-0, the motion passes, and the meeting adjourned at 5:19 p.m.
Take a roll call.
Member Alvarez,
Yes.
Member Biancaria,
Yes.
Member Brunenda,
Yes.
Member Guardiola,
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
Yes.
Member McCullough.
Yes.
Member Roy,
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay, next is general business. Request administration establish a school safety advisory committee. Motion is to approve and file, so look forward to the committee. You get that finished. Thank you. And all those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Next one is Member McCullough to get a presentation on the Modern Classrooms project, including teacher and student feedback from those participating.
As it reads.
Further, the teaching and learning student success. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Next up is to provide a report on all after-school programs, funding source, and the number of students served, and offer suggested alternative providers and funding models. Member Mailman?
As it reads.
Wow. Okay. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. To provide a report of October 1st total enrollment by grade, school, class size by grade, and quarter for the last 5 years. In the report, please indicate when the last time schools were redistributed and if there are plans to do this again in the near future. Member Mailman?
Thank you. I just want to add that I think that this, directly or indirectly, this item has come up a couple of times last year. I think Member McCullough had said something, and I think Member Johnson has referred to this need. So I don't want to lose the item about redistribution, and because I think it is something we've been thinking about and we'll certainly have to deal with at some point. So I guess I'm also looking at the clerk through the chair too, to make sure we don't lose this item. And I think we got the data on October 1st numbers last year around about December. And so this would be important if we could somehow make this a beginning of the year or end of the year report all the time. Thank you.
Let's send that to the administration. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Next up is provide a report that includes a number of 1 to 5
Yeah,
teachers
totally,
per
Annie.
school and subject, including cost.
It
per
wasn't too
teacher
long
per
ago
school.
that, I mean, 01608
Member
was basically empty from a
As it
population
reads.
perspective.
On a roll today. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Provide a report including 10 years of data on the amount of funding per school or credit buyback. Member Benenda?
So I put that on because I think it's important regarding how we change the credits for the graduation ceremony. And so there could be
This
many
again.
more students that might participate in buyback. So I was concerned, no, we also have a budget shortfall, but we do need to provide additional buyback for students to able to make the credit so they're able to graduate. So that's why that item is there.
Okay, so send that to the administration. Okay. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. To provide a report on the funding of CPR training and planned CPR PD for the health and PE teachers for 23-24 school year. Member Benenda?
Yes, that actually came directly from request. For the current year, it appears that health and phys ed teachers have not received the training from the district on CPR. So I was hoping that we could fit that in this year for them as their certification has lapsed, and was hoping there'd be funding to continue to
still in
do
mourning.
that this particular year.
Thank you. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, through the chair. So we actually did provide CPR training for staff before school started, so we didn't want to interrupt programming during the school day. All our athletic coaches are trained, our transportation staff is trained. As of now, we have 193 individuals that are trained. We're also going to offer an optional training for anyone who wants to do that on March 5th when we have that professional development day. Our nurses are taking the lead and doing this training. So there is training going on. We're going to make sure people know about it. I would recommend that this be filed, and we'll make sure that people have the information that they need if anyone still needs to be trained.
Could I,
Member Benenda?
through the chair, could I make a recommendation that the phys ed and health teachers directly receive an email, making them aware that they could participate in that training on March 5th?
Okay. Member, Madam Superintendent?
Through the chair, we will make sure that anyone who wants it can offer it. I don't want to pigeonhole only them because we have other training going on. And so I want to make that available. But yes, anyone who needs it, they will be sure to have that information.
Okay, so we'll
Just
file that and send an
annoying.
email out to everybody who needs the information to register. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Provide report on the number of schools with water filling stations and the cost of providing water filling stations in all the schools. Member Benenda?
Through the chair. And this is also a request from several people at several schools. Sharing, I know we've had this conversation before too, and it's always, it is a kind of hefty cost for schools. And I know some PTOs in some schools help support that. I think their concern is that there's cost of money for the delivery and buying of the water. And their request was whether or not that would be once we put in the water filling stations, the money saved could then go into some account to add them eventually to all buildings.
Member Johnson?
Yeah, in regards to that, I thought we had taken this up. I could be wrong. I thought it was in our last meeting, but is there any way Mr. Allen could speak to the water bottle filling stations? Thank you.
To the chair, to Member Johnson, correct. Through Finance and Operations, now Finance Operations and Governance, we've been discussing the use of the SWIG grant for water bottle stations and ESSER funds for water bottle filling stations. SWIG grant was just completed, as we reported a couple of weeks ago in Finance and Operations, where there were 50 units installed in 25 schools. And we're about to release the RFP for the ESSER water bottle stations, and there'll be about 100 units installed in schools through those funds.
Also going to do every school that needs it?
Yes. We're primarily focusing on cafeterias and gym areas first, and then other areas within the school as well.
Okay, so we can file that then also? We can file that? Thank you.
11-time back-to-back world
Those in favor,
championship budget guy,
opposed, so
Brian
ordered.
Allen right there.
Our report on the schools offering junior ROTC to include the budget, promotion of the offering of this program. Member being carrier.
Thank you. We've been very fortunate with our schools in our junior ROTC program. They not only support our community, but their presentation is always very impressive. I've worked with a number of the students and never have been disappointed in their participation, not only in the program that they are attending for that day, but the other
Two reps
activities
from the
they
student
do in
body.
our community. So my concern is with the budget and so on, I'm hoping that we are able to continue with this program and at some point receive information on what they have done in years past. We have had one or two of the schools attend a school committee meeting and make presentations on the activities they've had in our community, in the value that they have also seen. And we have many of the students that go on in their lives and have continued to keep in contact with the program.
I could be mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure the Department of Defense funds junior ROTC.
Thank you.
Not the city of Worcester.
So that, you want to speak on that?
Great.
Madam Superintendent?
Through the chair, I'd actually like to recommend that this become part of our budget conversation as it pertains to the budget portion of this. So in the budget 2025, as part of that, what we are facing or we're noting is that we're having trouble filling the position to offer JROTC. So it's not that we don't want to, that there's a trouble in filling it at one of our schools. So, but if the question is about the budget, I'd like to recommend that we file this and we bring it back when we have the budget conversation.
And we can send it to the finance and budget.
Right, the piece of this, I certainly agree with that, that's fine. The piece of this that I am concerned with also is I'm assuming that we're going to continue the program. I'm going to be very positive. So I am looking to find out how we are promoting it within our schools. And I understand that we did have, and we continue to have an issue with finding someone who is going to be able to teach this.
You do
But,
get housing in
the
college.
present that we have in our schools as far as staff that cover this, would like to know how we're helping them to promote the program.
Okay,
That's
so we'll
possible at
file
this
this and
time.
ask,
Right,
and ask for a report back on how we're gonna promote the program.
right.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Completely
Those in
different
favor,
question than she
those
originally asked. but
supported?
Sure.
Next is, we can do these together, I guess, Ms. Biancara and Member Roy. It's the same order.
Lots of
almost, I
locks.
think, but provide an update in the number of classroom doors without locks at Roosevelt School, Rice Square, Wakeview, Worcester East Middle, North, and Worcester Technical High School, and timeline for those doors to be secured. And also provide a report of the actual number of locks on individual classroom doors for the schools located on District E with the following schools. To date, as noted in the school safety audit, this report needs to include a time frame when the locks will be installed in the classrooms that currently do not have them. Member being carried for by Member Roy.
Thank you. Yes, I'm looking at District C, specifically under this, and we have 6 schools that are included in that and were mapped out. Every school has a blueprint in this particular report that costs our taxpayers $335,000. Based on the recommendations, the budget of this dedicated to ensuring we provide the possible benefits of safety. I would like to see this reviewed because my concern is as we go further down the road and we have to plan for dollars, we also have to plan on what we're doing for a time frame to accomplish what we have looked at under our safety audit, and this is a large piece of it. I am concerned, and I've heard from parents, every day you pick up the paper, you turn on the news, and unfortunately, something has happened. So when we talk about safety, that is a small portion of what can actually save a life. And I'm hoping that
I'm
when
very
we
sorry for
look
your
at this
loss.
list, it's a priority list, and we're able to at least get some of this work done sooner than later. And that's why I brought it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pretty much reiterate what my colleague, Dean Carrier, just said. I filed this for 2 reasons. One, of course, is safety. In the event of an intruder, which we hope never, ever happens, entering any school, meaning ill will or malice, it is important that each classroom and office can be locked down with the proper door locks. It would give a lot of parents, guardians, grandparents, students, our precious students, teachers, and faculty a sense of that they have control to take care of themselves. And I also filed it under the veil of transparency to require the information of the cost of these locks and the specific time frame that they will be installed. And safety is very important.
Kathy just
for
did
our
something
children,
that
as
I've seen her
as
do in
we
the
all
past
know in
on
this room.
Nextdoor.com.
And I'd like
referred
to
to
see this implemented
children as
in a
precious.
timely fashion.
On Nextdoor was
Thank you,
precious
Member.
cargo. As a parent,
Madam Superintendent, Member John,
cringeworthy. There's something about referring to your kids as
Member
precious.
Johnson, you want to speak first? Or
Really,
the superintendent?
I don't know.
Please, to the chair. So my guess is someone's going to, you're going to speak to this, or Mr. Allen will speak to this. I mean, in the safety audit, it was clear that this is a priority. I think we had already prioritized money to kind of dealing with the locks, because I think that was the first priority that we had to deal with. And I'm 100% sure that it encompasses every school that needs locks or whatever, not just, no, every school. So I think we just need to focus on the school district in totality, because there's numerous middle schools, elementary schools that are going to receive this work. So can we get a report on kind of where we're at with that and the time frame around this? Thank you.
Madam Superintendent?
Through the chair. So just to do a little bit of backup, when I was selected to be the superintendent in Worcester and I was still living in California, there was an event that happened. I'm going to say it was in early June, because I remember calling Mr. Allen and saying, oh my goodness, what do we do for safety and in Worcester? And when's the last time we've had an audit of our total physical safety? And it had been a very long time. And so that's what got us to where we are today, and I say that because I think it's really important that the new committee members know that safety is a priority for all of us. And so the audit took a really long time because they looked at lots of different parts of physical safety, talking with people, not just what protocols do we have, but what's in place. And then what does it look like when in the terms of locks and ingress and regress at the schools. And and we've got close to 50 different schools between schools and programs. So takes us to then when we brought that safety plan or the audit to the committee in November. And as part of that, well, actually prior to bringing the results, we knew that there was a lot of work to be done. And so in the previous budget, which is what Member Johnson was speaking about, the committee approved a substantial amount of funds from the ESSER funds to start to implement what's in the safety plan. And the priority that we put in place specifically for this school year, which is one of my goals that you will evaluate me on at the end of this year, is that every classroom interior, every interior door will have working locks. That's 100% that we're saying will be ready before school starts. We can come back with where we are with the actual implementation of that, but that is something that this committee has already said is a priority. We have already funded it. And I believe in November was when Mr. Allen shared how we worked with the fire department and
I think that's going to be like an infinite number of times.
Determine what's the best lock
They're
to
going to break our
use
brains
in this
with the math.
situation, and that's what we were moving forward with.
I just
So
love how
just to assure our new committee members, our
knows how to
community,
speak to
that we
Shiv
are
and our
doing
new
this
committee
for
members
all of our
as the
schools.
children
It will be
that
done
lift
by the
them
end
up.
of the school year. You will evaluate me on that completion, and we're happy to come back with what we have completed. What I would recommend, because the safety audit is in finance, operation, and governance, is that update be provided through that setting, and then that can come to the larger committee.
Being Karen?
Thank you. Superintendent, I did attend the November meeting, and the presentation included parts of what that safety audit was. I'd like to make a recommendation that we receive as school committee members the entirety of this safety audit, so then we can discuss it in executive session. I realize that there are some components that certainly, unfortunately, you don't want to have discussed in public. But I would appreciate receiving and being able to have the opportunity to review the entire report and then be able to discuss it in executive session. So we are then having a full front look at what is occurring and what needs to be done and what the list of how we are looking at our schools, because this is, we've had other safety audits, and the other safety audits cherry-picked schools. This particular audit included every school and provided a blueprint. But we need to have some discussion. And I clearly, as I said, understand that we don't want to have it on the floor. However, we can have it in executive session.
We can issue that in executive session and go over it in detail.
I'm sorry.
We can go over that in detail in executive session.
That would be terrific. Thank you.
Through the chair, just for procedurally, I think we need to take a vote on that. I think there needs to be a vote on the floor
Yeah.
for that. So just procedurally.
Yeah,
we've
Steve,
done
she's
that in
running
the
the show.
past.
Let's
Yes.
you start a citizens
But I
petition.
don't think we're
Rachel
going to
Linares
issue
for
a
mayor.
report to anybody. We'll just have a executive session.
Well, I mean, what's happening
That's
that
a
you're seeing
motion.
now is Diana is really mad.
So that's what
Because
I'm saying. So if there's a motion on the floor, then
safety
there's
audit
a vote
was done.
for the committee.
But before she was on the school committee, so she didn't have access
Roll
to the
call.
full audit, which they're not going to put
Bill?
all the details out to the public for a
besides
public
that?
display.
Can-
So she's
are we-
asking embarrassing
So I have
questions,
something else.
Okay.
making
on the
embarrassing
table. Okay.
motions, and then
I'd
realize they're
actually like to make a
embarrassing, so now she's
motion to
angry.
file both of these items
So Sue's going to be an
for two
adult.
levels. One, because the information was just provided to the whole committee. We have a plan. It was provided. It is hard as new school committee people to not know what was on November's report, although it was through the chair, just made clear that at least one of the members was here to listen to the report. I clearly remember door locks were going to be satisfied. I believe that there's a question about what can be held in executive committee. So I guess I would want an opinion on that before we go forward. And I don't know enough to give, maybe Mr. Allen might have that information. I don't know. The other thing that I would say is we've got to come to grips with this district business, because through the chair, in my training, the training was that districts, we are not representing particular sections of the city, particular schools, particular principals, whatever the case may be. We are here as a body to represent the whole. So what I would ask you, Chair, to please clarify for all the members, if we need to do that through MASC, through the clerk, I'm cool with that. But last week we had items that were about particular parking issues at particular schools. Member McCullough artfully said, we're going to look at all of them. We're here tonight talking about door locks on particular schools for particular districts, which again, we've already prioritized. So I think there's two things at the table, the security report. And the other thing is this what we're going to listen to every meeting? So I guess that's not an item, but that's just, I guess it is an item. We need to, I'd like further training on that. I'd look, what are our jobs? Our jobs are not specific items for district things. And again, this is 2 weeks in a row, which we've listened to it. Thank you.
Love this.
Okay, I think Superintendent said she was going to provide an update where we are in the process, right?
We will do that through FOH.
Never agree with that. We can file the items and then get an update.
Joe's so confused.
Then we've asked for a motion to executive session. And the third thing is regarding, we can discuss items that are not made public in executive session on this report. So we can do that. And as long as it meets the definition of executive session.
And
Not an open meeting law.
you'll clarify that.
Yeah.
Well, Maine South Mom, they will know what their
Okay.
job
And-
is when they finish
and the
their
district
state
issue?
manager training.
Chair?
District issue, this is going to be an issue that we're going to, I don't know, I'm an expert in this, but this is going to be an issue with every school committee who has district councilors, district school committee members is going to have to grapple with. You have district school committee members who represent districts. They're going to have to put something on their school that maybe the issue should be, if it's not a school-wide issue, in a particular school, that should be okay to do. But where it is a school-wide issue, we should be smart enough to make it a school-wide representation. Yeah.
And other cities have certainly grappled with
Yeah.
this before, and clearly the instruction back to us is that we are here as a whole body. So if it's specific.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay, thank you.
So that's what it's gonna have to use our common sense as we go
Oh, boy.
forward. Because people do get phone calls, and this is how it was set up, like district city council and at-large city council. So district school members are gonna put items on their particular school. Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
okay. So the first one, we're gonna file these items, we're gonna get an update as we agreed to by the superintendent on the safety of the school walks. where we are in the process, needs to be done before June 30th as part of the evaluation process, right? So that's one. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Number two, we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss this matter in private. Roll call.
Member Alvarez.
Can you clarify that for me?
So basically, executive session is something where the public, we don't want to give something, it's a private matter in the sense that it's not open to public discussion. So there's stuff in that safety report that's just pertaining to safety of particular schools that you want know, the public should not know the issues involved in those schools. And, so we're going to discuss that privately, not in public.
And what, if the answer is no, what does that?
The answer is no, we will have no discussion. You won't know what's in the report.
I'm just a little confused. My apologies.
Yeah,
No, it's okay.
I'm
this
actually
is the
with
first
you on that,
time it's
Yanni, and
confusing.
I think it's actually
No,
a
it's
good
basically,
sign that
if you want to listen
they
to the
aren't just
report in
putting together
executive
a
session, you
safety
vote
plan
yes.
or
If you don't know
report,
what, you don't want to listen to the
show.
report in executive
if
session.
they're
you
keeping
vote
it in executive session.
No.
What was the motion?
Through the chair, my understanding of the motion is to receive a copy of the full report. In
I
executive.
clarified that. We're not going to, I said we're not going to receive the copy.
Okay, so this would be I want to make sure this is a conversation in executive.
Yeah.
not-
Also going to
not the
give
full
Joe a little
copy
bit of
the
credit here
report.
because he seems like he's not willing to
We'll go
give
over the
out
report
copies
in
of the
executive
report
session.
because he knows
So
that
a full copy?
certain members. would
That's where there's, I
circulate
just
to the
want to
public.
keep the district safe.
Mhm.
And I don't want something that can become a public records request. out there.
Right, but it's an executive session. It's not a public record. So
Right.
We report out on minutes at some point on the executive session. So at some point it does.
It doesn't, it doesn't. It does in the sense if it was, the matter's been closed, it goes, you report out, you are correct. But if there's stuff in that report that can never be issued, it's just, you don't release it.
As long as we can keep
Yeah.
that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Okay. Member McCullough?
Thank you, and I apologize. I just want to ask two clarifying questions before taking this vote as well. I want to clarify that it is a conversation in executive session
Correct.
and that we are going to ensure that it meets the parameters of open meeting law first. I mean, executive session.
Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Member Mailman?
And confirm that we are, if this vote goes forward, that we are not having 9 copies of paper that are going to stay with the people.
No, it stays in the executive session.
Right, so no
because
paper
it's
goes
only
out of the
because
room with
there are
members.
new
Thank
members
you.
haven't seen the report because it wasn't
Okay.
presented to them in a fashion,
call.
like a hard copy fashion
Member Alvarez.
for security reasons.
No.
Member Bancaria.
Yes.
Member Benenda.
Yes.
Member Guardiola.
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
No.
Member McCullough.
Yes.
Member Roy.
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the meeting. We can adjourn. Those in favor, both so ordered.
That's it. We're done. Well, I appreciate y'all sticking through this one. Ooh, what are we doing? We still have them here? Huh. I appreciate everyone sticking that one out. Apologize that Bill had to get distracted and possibly robbed down at Rewind Video, where he's hosting his first in-person pitch session. If any of you are feeling like getting out and getting frisky, Bill's down there. You should go hit him up. As usual, make sure you're keeping an eye on Bill at his Substack, Worcester Sucks, and I Love It. Now famous by Jim and Marge from WGBH. Kind of fantastic. I think it's this Monday. Brian's doing the Dirty Garund. He's headlining. So check that out down there. I do nothing but play Fortnite. So if any of you are bored during the day and I don't know, want to duo up, see if we can hit ranked, be fantastic. Otherwise, thank you all for tuning in. Be interesting to see where that goes from here with the security stuff. It seems like it's obviously something that Dr. Maneras is taking seriously, and that the newer members, or some of the newer members of the new committee, are going to be needling her on for a while. it'll be interesting to see what does come out from that X session, because I suspect that it's something that a couple certain members would like to be circulating and use as a cudgel, even though it seems that the district is doing the same thing. In any case, we'll be back on next Tuesday with the full city council and a full crew. But thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next Tuesday. Have a good one all.